Do you have an idea for a product that you'd like to launch but aren't sure where to start? Then tune into today's episode where I interview inventor of the SpaStar Get Ready Wrap, Lori Crete. She's a beauty influencer, podcaster, and esthetician, and you are going to love what she has to say about getting your product launched and why you might be uniquely qualified to do that in your 50s. Hello, dreamers. Welcome to the Late Starters Club, giving you the inspiration, mindset, and tools you need to start something midlife and beyond. Remember, it's never too late to follow your dreams. Hey, dreamers, it's your host, Andrea Vall, and I am joined today by the creator of SpaStar, among other things, Lori Crete. And I am super excited. We were talking beforehand. I'm excited to dive into all she has to talk about today. So, welcome, Lori.
Hi, Andrea. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, and we both have a mutual friend, and I'm so glad I've heard so much about you, and so now I'm so glad that I get to connect you, our mutual friend Debbie, and who is amazing also. Let's talk. So Lori has created Spa Star. She's also created the Get Ready Wrap. She's a licensed esthetician, which is hard to pronounce. She's host of the top-rated podcast Beauty Biz show. She's been featured all over LA Fox 11, ABC. She's quoted as a beauty guru by Extra TV and American Spa Magazine Mentor of the Year finalist. I'm so excited. This is amazing.
Thank you.
So, you created the Spa Star in your 50s, which, first of all, she doesn't even look like she's 50, but we'll just go with that. So, so tell us a little bit about what Spa Star is and what motivated you to create this.
Well, I have been a licensed esthetician and a spa owner in Los Angeles for a very long time, which kind of is a city influenced by the rich and famous and driven by beauty, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I had an opportunity to be the esthetician to many celebrities and superstars. So having time during COVID, I couldn't go to work. California had us shut down for almost a year.
Yeah.
And that gives you a lot of time to step back and reflect on things. And about 6 months in, I go, either you're going to have to do something that makes you feel creative or you might lose your mind. So,
First option's probably a little better, right?
yes, yes. But I didn't know what it was. And I didn't want to just step into anything. So I thought, how can you take your years of experience in the industry, the beauty industry, and make something custom and creative? I just didn't want to throw my name on something that was like private labeled or already made. I wanted to be really unique. And I think that's where, the gift of being in an industry for 25 years was very helpful.
Mhm.
So I would literally take my dog outside at 4:30 every morning. I still stayed very structured during the
Mhm.
lockdown. It wasn't like I was sleeping till noon. 4:30 in the morning, I had my little dog outside and I would look up at the stars and I would say, "Please, please give me something to make me feel human and make me feel creative." And we were lucky enough to get to go to a wedding in Maui in May of 2021. And this is a lesson I learned from this actually, was to be patient for that creation and the right thing to hit your soul,
Mm.
not push forward and try to force something. So it was more about flowing into me than forcing something out of me. So we're on a labyrinth. I know it sounds so woo woo and out there, but
Yeah,
it's true. We're on a
it's
labyrinth
amazing.
and the wind from the ocean in Maui was blowing so hard against me, I could barely move forward. And I thought, this is what my life has felt like for the last year. And in that moment, it hit me, okay, there's a gap missing. When you go in to get a facial or any spa treatment, you're given a robe or a spa wrap. And
Mhm.
it's just something that there was a gap. Nobody had ever updated that piece of spa wear or resort wear before. And I thought, how can I make this the most beautiful, luxurious piece that fits everybody? Because they were
Mm.
always kind of small and
Yeah.
bulky and talk about, being in your 40s and 50s. They made you hot in those moments where you don't want to be hot.
That is so true.
Yeah, so people were coming in and paying me $300 for a facial, and I was giving them a $19 spa wrap that felt and looked awful. And I go, how can I change this and make it more inclusive so it fits everybody? And then I started taking it even like a dive deeper. Think about this. When we get ready for any special occasion in our life, sometimes that's the most special moment of it, is getting yourself glamorous and starting to look beautiful. And what do we normally wear as women? A ratty t-shirt,
Mhm.
a damp towel that keeps falling down, or a
Right.
big bulky robe that, you feel like you need another shower by the time you get your hair and makeup done because
Yeah.
you're in it sweating. And so that's where it was all inspired. But I have to say, stepping into this, I knew I was taking on a big challenge because it was a whole different industry. It wasn't the beauty industry. Now I'm stepping into creation of something in the garment world.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you're taking your experience, but creating an actual product is so scary. It feels a little scary because you've got to design it or figure it out. Where are you going to get it made? How is that going to actually, how is the fulfillment going to work? You had to do all of that, right?
And I knew nothing. It was like I had an idea and everything forward facing of the idea was a blank slate. So,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, for anyone wanting to create something, I think that probably is a piece that holds you back. You have your dream, your idea, but you don't know the steps to make it happen.
Right.
And that's the scary part. That's the challenging part. So, yes, that was actually probably the biggest obstacle in front of me, is not having any idea what I was doing other than
Right.
the idea itself.
Right. How did you break that down into smaller chunks? How did you go about that whole research phase for figuring out what to do next?
I think one of my superpowers in life is I connect very easily with people. And that's probably from learning that skill set, being a flight attendant for 20 years. That was
Mm.
my career before I became an esthetician. I went from traveling the world into a small dark room. And what I learned is, make connections
Mhm.
and nourish them. Nourish
Yeah.
them. It doesn't matter who somebody is. If they are kind to you and they're brought into your world and they stay in your world for a little while, nourish those relationships. So the first thing I did, I always see, okay, what URLs are available. That's
Mhm.
kind of my
Mhm.
first thing.
Yeah.
And then I call my trademark attorney and I see if I can use the name and the URL. And then I make a list of connections that I have and pick up the phone and actually just start asking. So one of the third thing I did is, there was a very well respected client of mine. We're the same age. She was well respected clothing designer in Los Angeles. And I called her. I remember I was still in Maui. I was by the pool with probably a pina colada in my hand, but I go, what the heck? Liquid courage. Picked up the phone and I called her. I go, I know we haven't talked in 5 or 6 years. And I
Wow.
know you're probably way too busy and you're too famous for this project, but could you point me in the right direction? And she said,
Right.
oh my gosh, Lori, I'm home being treated with breast cancer. Let's do this. Yes.
Wow. Wow.
So we just started. I mean, she knew everybody. And it's so weird. I think when you're on a path that you're supposed to be on, although it's challenging and you may not see what's ahead of you, a lot of beautiful things divinely fall into place. And that's just what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
She had the right. I didn't want a fabric that I knew what I wanted for a fabric. She actually knew overseas the fabric mill we were going to use. So right away, they started putting stuff together and sending me samples. And I remember being on my living room floor with all of this stuff spread out in front of me. And the excitement of it was way more powerful than the scariness of it. Like trying to make these crazy, I didn't know what a Pantone color was or how to get that to a fabric mill to so I just that's it. I'd say the first step is figure out if you can get a little bit of the brand, your idea of the brand vision together,
Mhm.
and then you reach out to your resources.
Right.
And my friend Angela, she's also a beauty entrepreneur. She has this philosophy of give, give, get. So you call your
Mm.
connections. Here's what I'm asking if you could help me with, and how can I support you? And it works every time for getting the right
Mhm.
resources.
Right. Right. I love that. Give, give, get. That's great because sometimes people are too much give, 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 and you've got to be able to receive, or the opposite extreme. It's not get. So I like that ratio. It's really good.
Yes.
It feels good. And I love that idea that the universe will just rise up to meet you. You don't need to know the whole road. You just need to know that very next step, right? And the other thing that I think is amazing is just not being afraid to ask because you never know. If you're taking yourself out of the game by not even asking that person, I mean, you thought that your friend would be too busy, but she was perfect timing for her. So that's amazing. I
I've
love that.
heard throughout my life more than once, you are a voracious question asker. So I don't
Mm.
know. I guess sometimes it works in your favor, but I'm definitely not afraid to ask a question when I need help.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and so what has been the biggest takeaway from all this as far as, kinda 'cause so you had the idea. I guess let me just back up a second and talk about how long did this process take? This happened in the pandemic. You had this idea from idea to product. How long did that take, and what was that
Well,
like?
keep in mind foreign trade, which is what I was now stepping into,
Right.
and getting something created and supply chain restrictions were all a piece of this puzzle. So I don't know if that hindered me or if it did not, but I would say the idea came to me in May of 2021 and we
Mhm.
launched July of 2022.
That's
So
incredible.
about and you know what? It was crazy because it just was a concept. I think during COVID, I didn't know I was creating something surrounding a trend that was taking place until it was almost done.
Mhm.
Didn't we all start investing more in self-care
Right.
and these beauty rituals that we were doing at home? So I got really lucky that my creation, it was coinciding with a beautiful trend that had happened during a horrible time in many of our lives.
Mhm.
And the biggest takeaway is, gosh, there's so many, but I would say just you have to be patient and you have to really believe in what you're doing because then it doesn't feel as scary when you are spending your whole lifelong savings on bringing something to market.
Right.
And don't be afraid to put yourself out there. See, I have been an esthetician who got lucky. They talked about me. One of the most popular news anchors on the morning news used to give my phone number out to my spa. And so I never had to do sales. I mean, I had to maintain that customer nourishment and connection and relationship when they came in, but I had been gifted PR that people would probably pay $3 million for. What I have learned is you don't ever take no for an answer the first time you present something to somebody. I have found the best, like these luxury hotels that are now carrying the wrap. It was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 phone calls and touch points and visits. That was very different. That was a big takeaway that you're really not a pain. You're not a pain
Right.
if you connect with people with elegance and grace,
Mhm.
but, you also can't shy away because people are so busy and getting bombarded. Think about
Right.
with your email inbox this past holiday season, did it almost make
Mhm.
you wanna choke every morning when you went to your
Yeah.
email?
It's crazy.
And that's
So
just not
many.
it. Then you go on
Yeah.
social media and you're getting hammered everywhere there.
Yeah.
So this connection and really following up and acting and not even acting genuinely and authentically caring about the person you want to carry your product
Mhm.
was
Mhm.
something that I recognized the importance of and how it had to be a priority in the success of my SpaStar, this luxury wrap.
Right. Yeah, and then how did you so you I mean, that is such a it seems like such a short time for me to think about from idea to product, and that's awesome. But then did you have to put a whole marketing plan, a whole sales plan, business growth plan in place? How did that all coincide and kind of overlap with what you were doing, plus your regular business, right? This is I mean, although with COVID, that was a little bit changed and everything like that, but how did you manage it?
I would say that gosh, how did I manage it all? I was okay with just learning the next step in front of me.
Mhm,
Now, I've been fortunate enough. I have a podcast that I started in 2015, which it's full of my ideal client for this
mhm,
product.
mhm.
So that was an easy piece to get in front of these people.
Right.
And also I have it's an entrepreneurial organization for beauty professionals. I run about 500 women a year. So that was another ideal audience. And then I work in a spa myself. So I
Mhm.
got to, and I used the product like these
Yeah.
spa wraps. My
Yeah.
clients would come in and I would allow them to change for their spa service. And didn't tell them it was my creation. I had 4 wraps that were my beta testers, but I would walk back in the room and 99% of my clients would say, "Oh my God, I have never felt anything like this before. Where do I buy one for myself?" So that was my
Wow.
marketing that I was putting together, listening to their
Right.
feedback.
Right. Right.
And honestly, I can thank our mutual friend Debbie that you talked about
Yeah.
at the beginning of our show here today. She's been pushing me to create a product for 5 or 6 years because she does my customer service for my business.
Right.
And she would say, "Lori, you can tell on your podcast, you can tell people how to make $50,000 a year or a week. Let's just say a week." She said,
Yeah.
and they write in and they say, "What lipstick did Lori have on?" She kept saying, "You need a product. These people want what you are showcasing." And that's really what made me step into going, "Okay, what can I do for my audience?"
Right.
So I guess it was kind of a reverse from what a lot of people do, right? They create the product, look for the audience. I had the
Right.
audience and was kind of gently pushed into creating a
Yeah.
product for them.
But I love that too, because I think that is the case for a lot of people. They built a business and they aren't seeing an additional opportunity that could bring in a lot of extra revenue and even get into a whole different industry, like really working with the hotel chains or, things like that and the home users. So I think that's so smart and it's a great seed to plant for anyone who has an audience, even if it's a smaller audience. What else can you sell them, right? That they need, that they would love. So that is great. So did yeah.
Oh, I was just, my clients for many, many years had been asking me when they would change into the spa rep, "Is there something like this I can purchase to wear at home?" So I knew there was kind of a need for it,
Right, right.
but I wanted to do it better.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's
also,
good.
thinking about it, just really being aware of
Mhm,
your surroundings. When the world started opening back up again, I was
mhm,
really noticing every time I
mhm.
would walk by a Louis Vuitton store or a Gucci store, I was noticing the demand for a luxury item. People are lining up out the door. I'm like, this
Yeah.
is wild. So many of us haven't been able to work in so long and nobody cares. You still want the $700 pair of tennis shoes.
Right, because we've all been through so much trauma, and I think, that feeling like you're caring for yourself in that way is probably a lot of things that came out of this whole pandemic, the self-care like you had talked about before as well. So that's great that you were able to, provide that product that would fill that need. So that's awesome. Now, along the way, did you come across any big obstacles or things that kind of felt like they were going to stop you?
Yes, because my fabric was stuck on a cargo ship, couldn't even make it to Los Angeles where my factory was waiting. And you have these time slots for sewing machines.
Oh, wow.
So I bet there's nothing you can do. And I'm a kind of a control freak and a micromanager, but my designer said, "Do you want to get a truck and go pick it up ourselves?" I'm like, we can't. There's just it is stuck out on a vessel with 500 other ships in the Long Beach port. So I would say that yes, there were times when I thought, are we ever going to be able to get this done? And how are things going to come together? That was a big piece of it.
Mhm.
And I didn't know fulfillment was a big thing for me. For those of you creating things, do you want to box everything up yourself? And I thought, okay, I will. I will at first. And then the closer it got to finish time, to go time, I go, there's no way. I
Yeah.
don't have room for pallets and pallets and different boxes and shipping stations. And so I was also, that was another thing that was scary to me is finding fulfillment because you really have
Mhm.
to let go of a lot of control and trust somebody else with your baby that you've
Yeah.
spent a lot of money and energy and time creating. And again, I found my fulfillment center through a very dear friend, just picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, can you help me here?" So
Wow.
thank God for other and really, I mean, you can have men and women to help. For me, it was just this power force of feminine energy that came in and helped
Right.
me create
Right.
this.
Right, and do you think doing this at the middle stage of life, has that been a big help or hindrance to creating this product? Do you feel like starting this in midlife was a good thing or anything more challenging that came out of that?
I think it was probably good in the way that I wasn't as afraid to take risk.
Mm,
And, I've worked so hard for so long that I had the resources where I didn't have to go get any investors. That was the good part of it. I had a Rolodex of, just packed full of these amazing people that I had collected over 20 years of being in the beauty industry and having just wonderful clients. And you build relationships with your clients because they
mhm,
come in. My sister is a psychiatric chemical dependency nurse,
mhm.
NP, nurse practitioner. And she always says, "You must have this crazy truth serum on your bed. Your people tell you everything." And I would have celebrities come in and they go, "You know more than my doctor. You know more than my therapist." And I just think that respecting those relationships, you could tell me something. I've always been a secret like lockbox. You can tell me anything, it's never going anywhere.
Mhm. That's
So,
awesome.
it all goes back to nourishing and respecting the connections that I've
Mhm,
made. And I would say the wisdom. And also, I have this, since your show is kind of about this, do you want my reader's digest version of what we go through in decades as women?
yeah, I'd love that.
Okay. So I think in our 20s, and I'm guilty of all of these. So you guys listening, you may relate, you may not, but in our 20s, we're trying to find our place in the world. And along with that comes a lot of, I don't want to say in an aggressive way, but maybe a gentle combativeness. We're always
Mm,
trying to prove ourselves in our 20s.
mhm, mhm,
Then I think in your 30s, we take a smart pill, and all of a sudden, who you're around starts to matter more and more and more. So you welcome different types of people into your life and let go of some people that may be a bit toxic. 30s
mhm,
is when you get that awareness.
mhm.
I think in your 40s, you actually take what I call an I don't give a crap pill. You start or you stop worrying so much about what other people think.
Right.
So I think that part of it, like my 40s, I learned so much about not caring what others think because I did tell some people about this spa wrap and they're like, "Really? You think people are going to pay that amount of money for a spa wrap?" And now they're coming back to me saying, "Oh my God, how did you land 600 spas in just a few months and
Yeah,
these big luxury 5-star Forbes rated hotels?" So I think, yes, I could care less what other people thought. I
right.
just asked that little close circle that I know has my best interest in really good advice to give.
Mhm, mhm.
It's not a
That's
tangent. I don't even know if I answered your question.
no, no, that's awesome. You did.
Okay,
And
perfect.
yeah. I mean, I definitely feel like in my 50s, I'm caring less and less. I was joking. I also do stand-up comedy, so I like to examine, our crazy lives here as women, especially we do a mom's focus show, and I joked that in your 50s are really the best time because you just kinda give up and don't give a crap anymore. But it's not totally true. I mean, obviously, I think it's like I'm feeling like 50s have been one of the best decades so far, so I love it, and it's yeah, inspiring.
Here's the craziness about the 50s though. Somebody just asked me this question. What's your takeaway? Because I tell a lot of younger people about my decade little
Yeah.
assessment.
Right.
Assessment of the decades.
Yeah.
And they always said, "Well, what has your 50s taught you?" And I don't know the answer to that
Yeah.
yet because I turned 50 at the end of 2019.
Oh, right.
So,
And it's
my
been kind
50th
of
year, I was locked in my house. Can you believe that's coming out of my mouth? Like, literally, I did not leave my house all of my 50th year.
You
So
lost a year. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what 50s is gonna teach me other than
Yeah.
patience and simplicity, I guess, so
Yeah.
far.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, definitely. And you had a little statement about, opportunities showing up in the form of chaos. I like that idea. But I think so far the 50s for you personally have been all of us actually who are 50s in this time frame has been chaos and yeah, chaos and patience probably.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I do think that there is a little bit more for me in my 50s at least, there is a little bit more tendency to take risks, and I think it is because I don't care as much what other people think, and I am realizing kind of the importance of getting started with something that I want to do as soon as I can, because I think it's yeah, you just get it going, right? Get started.
It's true. I think, my feeling is, and I've never felt this way before my 50s, is I want to learn. And I go, am I going to have enough time here on this planet to learn everything that I want to?
Right,
And I was
right.
not somebody who cared about school. I consider my education like a butterfly. I just
Mm.
floated around and I picked up pieces of what I needed to know where I needed to know it. But now I'm like a hawk, like, oh my gosh, please give me the ability to learn something new every day.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, and being super selective about, "Now I'm gonna learn dive deep into this and into creating a product," which I think is amazing and awesome. There's
I want to
something
go back to something that
yeah.
you just said, because I think it's so important for people listening in. And it is that you said you don't think, like you're just, how did you word it? Maybe you don't give a crap so much
Yeah,
about.
yeah, I joke that you give up and you don't care. You don't give a crap, but that's I don't think I joke that about giving up because I don't think that most of the women I know in our 50s aren't giving up. They're really laser focused and doing things, but I think it more is about letting go of our own judgment about ourselves and what other people think, I think.
Well, as you explain that, I totally relate to it. And I think I would process it and explain it as a different type of confidence,
Mm,
right?
mhm,
Different level of confidence. Like,
mhm.
yeah, I'm doing this. Watch me.
Yeah. Yeah. So true, so true. So great. So let me ask this, obviously you've probably during along this way, you've probably had times where you've been overwhelmed with everything. And how have you dealt with that? And how have you gotten your mojo back when those moments have come up?
I I would say definitely nature. If
Mm,
I can stop what I'm doing and go for a 3, 4, 5 mile walk and just take in the little things, whether it is an anthill and they are all doing their work, or
mm,
going to the park and watching kids fly a kite, stuff like that. If you just go out and reset in nature, breathe, look at the beauty, watch what other people are doing, that helps me remove overwhelm. I know that when I have a never ending to-do list, which is most of the time,
yeah.
I will get up 45 minutes early, but I make it ritualistic. So I look forward to getting up at 45 to an hour early, and I will light candles. I turn on my big smart TV and I'll put beautiful music on YouTube with a scenery behind it. And I let that
Mhm,
play and I put the fireplace on and I make it a happy moment to get up early so I
mhm.
get more done. I would also say a brain dump, depending on whether you're a morning person or a night person. Sometimes I have to brain dump before I fall asleep. So I don't take all of that to bed with me, but I know what I'm going to do in the morning in a productive manner. Or sometimes right when I get up, that first cup of coffee is just spent making a little list of what I want to accomplish in the next hour. Those are
Mhm.
definitely things that I do to get stuff done.
That's that's great. All good advice right there. Very good. I like that, just making it a happy moment to get up because I know some people don't I'm kind of a morning person, but I know some people aren't. Good. Good, good. Well, this has been amazing. I feel like I could talk another, like, hour, but I wanted to find out from you, one of the things I always like to ask is a favorite quote or inspirational saying that motivates you.
So I had one in my 20s and 30s and 40s for the longest time, and it's recently just changed. So I'll tell
Mm,
you, the one looking back was always my favorite was she believed that she could, so she did.
mhm,
And I would go to that when I needed that little bit of motivation. Just believe in
mhm,
yourself, Lori. Just believe in yourself. It doesn't matter if this person has more than you in knowledge or money. What matters is you believe it, that you can do this. You can accomplish something. But talking about that confidence in our 50s, I have a whole new saying, and it's Joan of Arc. I am not afraid I was born for this. And
ah,
that is my new one that I literally tap back into that when I need that little bit of inspiration or motivation. And I guess they kind of go hand in hand. Both of them are really about believing in yourself and feeling like you were born for something. So that's my favorite little
Right,
saying now, quote.
right. I love both of those. Yeah, I have that same quote, "She believed she could, so she did," and, up somewhere, but I love that Joan of Arc one. That's awesome.
And some people will argue Joan of Arc didn't really say that. So for those of you listening, I apologize if I got it wrong. I'm not quite sure. That's just where I've read the quote came from.
Yeah.
Disclaimer.
Someone said it. We'll
Yeah.
give it to give it to Joan of Arc. I think
Yes.
she's yeah. Awesome. Well, Lori, thank you so much. Where can people learn more about you, about your products? We'll have these links in our show notes for sure, but share that with our listeners here.
Thank you. Well, SpaStar is also, it's sold e-commerce. You can go grab your SpaStar wrap and headband at spastar.net, or you can just follow the journey. I would love to welcome you to my Instagram page, which is spastar_LUX. LUX
What-
like Lux.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's where you
Awesome.
can find me.
Great. Well, we'll have those in, like I said, in the show notes. And thank you so much, Lori. And definitely go check out the Spa Star, of course, check out her podcast. And I feel like I need one. I'm going to go get one myself. So, yes, thank you, Lori.
Thanks for having me here, Andrea. I love
Yeah,
that you're doing this because I think, sometimes in mid to late 40s and into our 50s, I've heard so many women say I start to feel invisible. So I think it's just awesome that you're bringing light to how powerful we really are at this age.
absolutely. And it's just never too late. If you had a dream, it's never too late. If you've got a brand new dream, if you've got a dream that comes to you on Maui in a labyrinth, it's any time is a good time to get started. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome.
Bye. Hope that was helpful, and make sure you grab the free guide, Top Tools for Late Starters, on the website at latestartersclub.com. And let's turn dreaming into doing.